Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dinner time is here. That's right, we're talking about episode 11 of season 2 of Hannibal on Dish by Dish. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the Baltimore Institute for the Criminally Insane. This is Dish by Dish, our Kill by Kill spinoff, where we talk about an episode of Hannibal just after we've watched it. And of course, we're talking about season 2, episode 11, Kono Mono. I did not look up the definition of Kono Mono, but I'm sure it's excellent and another part of the Kaiseki sequence. But you know what? The person who I would definitely invite to a Kaiseki sequence dinner is the one, the only Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I'm so happy.
Why are you happy? Tell me. I
you know why.
Because it's flaming wheelchair time.
There's a flaming wheelchair.
Now, remind me again, when it happens in all the other versions of this, does Freddie Lounds' body smack into his/her parking space, or is that special for
that I believe, if memory serves, that is special to the TV show. I know in Manhunter it just goes right into the camera. In each version that you do get the boggling security guard.
Because he doesn't know whether or not to yell stop or do you have a pass? Like it's hard for him to harass somebody in that situation. And yeah, and this one, I think is the only one I've seen where you see him do something useful, which is grab a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, like in Manhunter, he just kind of screams and runs away.
That's what I would do.
I can't recall in Red Dragon.
Oh, I can't recall any of Red Dragon other than I saw it and I said, oh, he's a mimic. I hope he never makes a movie again. And I think he made a couple more. And thankfully, ever since, that fucker has been iced out.
Yeah, I the only thing I really remember about Red Dragon is thinking it was a little weird that they made Francis Dollarhide handsome. And then I watched season 3 of Hannibal.
Right. He's only gotten handsomer.
He's only gotten, they have totally buntified Francis Dollarhide.
Yet again on Twitter today was another person going like, we've got to fucking stop talking about how handsome this dude was. We need to put an end to it.
Oh my God. It just makes you so, I know we've talked about this so many times already. It just makes you so angry.
But it doesn't stop. That's a thing. Like, unfortunately, our campaign for everyone to stop talking about him like he was sexy has fallen on deaf ears. Like, people are still clinging to this idea that he was really attractive because he has been portrayed in every popular medium as sexy by sexy people.
It's like, he looked just like Mark Harmon. No.
Not even Mark Harmon today. No.
Absolutely not.
We open this particular episode on Will and Hannibal gobbling glizzies, as the kids say on the TikToks. They're putting whole tubes of meat in their mouth, and these tubes of meat are whole birds, endangered birds.
This is a moment. Most of the other food that they have shown on Hannibal, I'm like, I could tuck into a big old plate of that. Even when it's human flesh, like, they still make it look very appealing.
Yes.
This is the point where I'm like, I'm good. I do not need to eat anything that incorporates the phrase bones at all.
And then it doesn't shy away from the fact that there are bones, because the scene goes on and on and on with them.
It's weirdly erotic because you've got like a lot of like mouth-watering close-ups of like Will's lips and like his throat, and it's just like it very much what's the word I'm looking for? Objectifies him.
Yes, but then it also spends a lot of time hearing both of them crunch on tiny bird bones. I don't want to eat a beak. I'll put that out there.
I have tried chicken feet.
Yeah.
And those aren't good eating.
Yeah.
I will say that they taste like they look. very rubbery, very unsatisfying.
Yeah. I had quail over the weekend. Probably the best quail I've ever had in my entire fucking life at a place called Deckman's in the Valley, the Valle in Baja, Mexico. It was absolutely delicious. Like, close your eyes and go, please don't make this moment end. I can't believe how good this is in my mouth. And I had to think about that to overcome the repulsion I felt as they ate entire tiny birds with beaks attached to them. Oh, and the crunching, Gina, the crunching. Ouch. Anyways, let's, our palate is cleansed, of course, by a flaming wheelchair, which I wrote next to it, Gina, are you okay? Because I had a feeling that you might have combusted in joy.
Yeah. I mean, considering how the Freddie Lounds plot ultimately goes, I was so surprised and pleased that they still kept the flaming wheelchair.
It's wonderful that they're playing around. Like, it's the dance that I think the show does really well. And I think a lot of shows that delve into previously known territory struggle with is playing with your expectations. And Fuller and company are able to manipulate what you do know about these characters' histories into drama, because how they died in these other places. They will die. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. And because time is elastic here and they're dealing with a variant edition of all of these people, they're allowed to do all these things that are callbacks, but then lead you down different rabbit holes. It's really genius. And it has got to be called out. Like, this shit isn't easy to do.
Right. I really like how they are sort of looking at the source material, whatever the source material they were allowed to they were allowed to use. And we've mentioned before that it was, pretty complicated situation where they could use Hannibal Lecter, but not Clarice Starling. And they could use Will Graham, but not Paul Krendler. And it was just weird and complicated. But they treat the source material, all of it, like a buffet, where they're just sort of picking from this, this side, and going to the hot bar and picking from some of that, and then going to the salad area and get some romaine, adding it on top, just sort of it's like remixing everything.
They sample all these things, but they also, like you said, they have this chance to remix everything. So it is something that you can make a, dare I say, Chinese menu out of, where you take from column A, you take from column B, and you're sort of making a different kind of story than that was there, but it's still emotionally the same kind of story. And it's really buoyed by the fact that when it comes to casting, man, this show don't fucking miss ever.
No.
It has been a rare bird. I mean, we have a tendency to take Freddie Lounds to task. And, I've seen, Laura Jean Troszewski in other things and really liked her. I'm not entirely sure if Freddie as a whole pays off for me necessarily as her inclusion here. But without her, of course, we would not get a flaming, wheelchair.
Well, that's always what Freddie Lounds brings to the Hannibal Lecter verse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the only thing you don't get from this, and it turns out that there's a reason for that is the money shot of Francis Dollarhide biting his lips off, which is pretty gruesome.
Yeah. And
you get that both in Manhunter and in Red Dragon.
Yeah. In Red Dragon, I think it's more extended seeing it rather than in Manhunter. It's more alluded to, I think.
Yeah. And also you get Philip Seymour Hoffman playing Freddie Lounds and already just slumming it. He was way above that material. And yet giving it 150%.
Well, bringing everything that he has to the table.
Oh, because he played incredible sleazebags. I mean, he was just he was just as the kids say on Twitter, he understood the lesson.
Yes, he knew
it's just it just felt not quite right for this sort of pulpy suspense thriller.
Yes, maybe we'll get to that one too. Who's to say? Oh God. The future ahead of us is.
I think we could probably spend about 2 minutes on that in the Manhunter episode.
Okay.
Because they're not all that different in plot.
No.
It's just Manhunter does all of it 1,000 times better.
Yes, because man is a stylist, man is an auteur. He is bringing an absolute viewpoint to the material, and he was in a particular lane right there amongst his TV work where it's not that far off from Miami Vice, and you think Miami Vice, or the MTV Cops, but Man had a real style to him, and it's all in Manhunter as well.
Right.
It's all that fucking cool. And yet there's real actors doing real work. There's style, and there are moments there that you can tell were taken for Silence of the Lambs. But again, Silence never feels like an homage or a replication of anything that happens in Manhunter. It's just a reflection, a refraction. It's how different musicians vibe off of each other when they're just jamming. Whereas Red Dragon is, I've studied these things and now I'm going to replicate them, and someone else will be doing karaoke while I do it.
And let's put Hannibal Lecter more in it, because that's what the people are here to see. Even though it's not actually his story.
Nope, not at all. He is but a bit player. But the person who is not a bit player in this is Margot is Preggers. That's right, Mazel. And guess who's the daddy? We know this already. It's Will. Time is very elastic.
I was going to say that this is in that typical, very typical, movie and TV science where you can have sex with someone, and then the next day I'm pregnant. you can feel a kick. But in reality, you probably don't know until you're at least a month along.
Yes, and they certainly don't know if it's a boy. That's the other thing. It's never a question. She must be having a boy. It's like that's actually not a predetermined thing, whether or not this is.
And as I long since enjoyed pointing out to people who are so hell-bent on having sons, it's not even up to the woman. It's the man's, it's the father's genes that determine that. So take that, misogynists.
You heard it here first. I know you've been listening for 5 years, but you finally realized what we're up to here on the Kill by Kill podcast.
Calling out misogynists.
Finally, just calling them out, throwing darts at them. And this is where I think we talked about it a little bit in the last episode, but this is where it's really formally introduced that, I guess it happens in the previous one with Margot. Is that where he takes her tears? But we don't know what he does with it. And here he takes the tears of a child that he harasses.
It's just this kid that just comes to his farm, and he's just like, well, your foster family doesn't want you anymore. And he's like, and he just like, here, have some candy, and then like goes and drinks his tears.
Have a chocolate bar. I mean, he's like 5 seconds away from trying to sell Springfield the monorail. That's how he's playing.
He really needs like a top hat and a monocle. That's all. That's honestly all he's missing here. Like he just like his whole persona and the way he dresses. He's from completely another world.
But I just don't think if you underplayed this, I think it would be.
Oh no,
weird.
You can't.
Yeah.
The problem is like, again, going back to Hannibal the movie, and I mean we have no choice but to keep referencing that, because that is what a lot of the source material for this and into season 3 comes from. Is you've got Gary Oldman playing Mason Verger under like 16 pounds of prosthetics.
Yeah.
Because again, it's after he is already, I don't want to spoil it. Something happens to him severely disfigured. And like, there's no, you're kind of more told that he's a bad person, and he just like, you can barely understand him. And I think that Gary Oldman made the choice to decide that, you know, he's going to make his voice all, you know, indecipherable.
Yeah.
And I hate to say there's no personality there, because he is like a child molester. Yeah. And it's like, how much personality do you want a child molester to have? But I think Michael Pitt, who, you know, I want to point out to people, is probably most familiar for being in, I mean, he's been in a lot of stuff, but probably most familiar for people being in Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Yes.
He is Tommy Gnosis in that. He's looking like a fetus.
He's very smooth.
I don't think he has a single hair on his entire body.
He's twinklicious
yes.
from his top of his head to the bottom of his feet.
Yeah. Very much. And here he just needs to be puffing on a comically large cigar. He's just having the time of his life, and I appreciate it. I mean, if you're going to play an absolutely loathsome character with no redeeming qualities whatsoever, you might as well just play the hell out of it. I mean, honestly.
Yes. No, have fun with it, because otherwise he needs to break all of this up, right? Because everyone else is playing it as emotionally raw and centered and unmoving, because that is the vein of the show. And he's introduced to essentially shake everything up. He has to be this wild and crazy. Otherwise, he's not fulfilling his purpose.
Right. We
do get more of our favorite wet dreams. We're just really moist dreaming here with Will. How often must he change his sheets? I mean, we see him moist dreaming a lot.
He's got to have like those like plastic liners that you put on a bed for a kid with a bedwetting problem.
Sure. I would hope so. Oh my God. Or what if it turned out that he was one of those people who's like, I've discovered over the years I don't need to shower as much.
Oh God. Are we going to get into that?
No, I really don't. Everyone should really shower and wash themselves from head to toe. Like every place you have skin, give that a good cleansing. For
just for God's sake, do a minimum of pits and bits. My God.
And get your feet. Really, honestly, you're doing the world and yourself a favor. Will has a lovely gift for Alana, and that is he hands her a gun and says, "Get some bullets and learn how to use this bad boy. Because whether or not you're scared of me or scared of the person you should be scared of, you should be scared of somebody and know when to shoot them."
Just be scared. I'm not going to tell you who you should be scared of. Just be scared all the time. Constantly be scared.
More scared is my direction to you. When Mason visits Hannibal for a psychiatric sesh, Hannibal instantly finds multiple reasons to eat him. It doesn't take too long for him to kind of like, I wonder what part of him I'm going to carve up first. When he looks over at the daybed and there's an impression in the pillow and the jacket's there all rumpled, there's just an air of like, I can't fucking believe this guy coming off of him. It's just, it's so wonderfully acted. But I will say that we've talked over a bunch of different episodes of like, what is the plan here? Okay, so Hannibal's gotten Will to a place where he's not in jail. He does appear to be murdering people and talking to him. And so this is what he's always wanted. Someone who understands that he is a murderous cannibal, but can't do it right now. And so in order for him to still get the satisfaction of it, they will go out and murder people so they can cook them together. So he's getting what he wants here, but there's a part of him that also wants to destroy it, because there's no way in my mind he thinks he can control Mason and Margot and Will. That's a triangle that is all points and all of them will puncture him. I just don't know why he decides to push Mason into acting here.
I think he just honestly just wants to see what happens. I think he is so confident, and no matter what happens, he will just, you'd be able to slip away unnoticed. I think he wants to, he's a chaos demon.
That's for sure. I just think it's a fatal fucking mistake. Like, he's not dumber than these characters, but this is a dumb move.
His ego is getting the best of him.
Yeah.
He hasn't. He's come so close to getting caught so many times, and has managed to just wiggle his way out. I mean, why wouldn't he feel like he could get away with anything at this point?
It's just so much to fucking juggle, and he's come so close to being caught out. And of course, now we have the knowledge, because the very first image of this entire season is him and Jack in a fucking knife fight. So, like, we know this is all going to come crashing down. It just, man, he is fucking around with the wrong people, because Mason is the Joker. Margot does not deserve any of this shit.
Yeah, no, I was talking about how Margot, she is not entirely a good person, but she's not a villain either.
No, she's a person in a terrible place. And he's like toying with, she's drowning. So if she hits somebody, it's because she's just trying to grab onto any solid object to pull her out of, deep water. And that doesn't make her a bad person. But she's been put in an even worse situation by Hannibal, because she's now surrounded by fucking sharks that Hannibal is controlling, whether they consider that or not, Will and Mason both. It's just a real bad spot to try to push her in one direction or the other. And it really goes bad for her in this particular episode.
Oh, yeah.
We also learn when Alana comes to Jack, he's like, listen, something's fucking going on here, and you guys are lying to me, and I don't care for it. You need to tell me the truth, and you need to tell me now. That ruse, of course, is that, guess what? Murderstab.org. What are we
it
calling
lives. Murderstab.biz, I think, actually.
Murderstab.biz. We're going to have to probably purchase that URL. We're going to put it on t-shirts.
And we after 5 years, do a kill by kill website.
I mean, for our show, murderstab.biz is actually probably a good.
Yeah, you'd have to rewrap dish by dish up.
It's still, it's of the flavor of the show.
We do deal with a lot of stabbings.
We do a lot of murder and occasional biz. R.I.P. Bismarcky. So she's alive. Against our better judgment, she's alive. This has all been a ruse. She did not go down in that flaming wheelchair. Her corpse was not dug up and had extra arms attached to it. That was some other poor person. And I assume everyone on the FBI team knows that this is happening, because how else would this ruse be carried off?
Yeah, I'm thinking like, okay, how did they get her dental records to match? And then it probably like, oh, well, they're just simply lying about her dental records matching.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming that to be true. I'm assuming the little team is all in on it as well. So it'll be interesting. I remembered vaguely that this happened, but I didn't know exactly how.
Well, yeah, I'm getting to the point now where it just gets so weird and so incredibly off the rails that I no longer remember specifically what happens in each episode. I mean, I remember events, but I don't, like, if you were to ask me, well, what happened in episode 13, I'd be like, there were pigs. Somebody got killed.
Well,
somebody got killed.
Yeah. But yeah, like the funeral section of this episode, I could barely breathe, because I know, but I don't know exactly where it's going. And there's so much pressure. It's you're painting yourself into a corner, stroke by stroke. And it's like, I hate to overpraise Brian Fuller and the team that he put together, but there aren't a lot of shows that are this fucking good.
No, and I wish I could have relived the experience of watching the first time and the reveal that Freddy is still alive. That what kind of feeling? Here, what? Here, what?
Just such a fun fucking twist.
You know, that confused white man gif.
Yeah. Yes. And then Margot, on her way to somewhere, she's packed her trunk to the gills, but she doesn't get far because Carlo T-bones her, and she's dragged off to what I believe is a hospital suite inside the pig.
I have questions. But first, I want to say that I admire the Dead Ringers shout out. That was 100%. That was nice. I like that, especially since the surgery involved her lady parts.
Yes, very much. No, it is a perfect honoring of Dead Ringers.
But where did he get this medical staff? And did he just tell them, just give my sister a complete hysterectomy. Here's $10,000.
Honestly, that's what he did. Yes. This is late stage capitalism. This is where we're at. You can buy yourself a surgery suite and a bunch of doctors to take out your sister's reproductive organs. That's something that can happen.
Can I rank those doctors on ZocDoc? Because they all deserve 1 star.
Yes, absolutely. Let's find out who those doctors. They may be fictional, but that doesn't mean that their actions don't deserve consequences.
100%. Office staff rude, late for appointment, did unauthorized hysterectomy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Took money from a pedophile to perform an unauthorized hysterectomy.
Guy talks about lovingly how his dad would stick pigs who didn't know it was coming to check the amount of back fat they had. Oh my God. His dad's a real fucking piece of work. Papa. Oh my God. And what a fucking performance out of her. She can't move. Obviously, Catherine Isabel is playing someone who's like drugged to the point where they're aware, but they can't move. And such a just genius performance. It's sitting there while everyone else is doing everything. And you cannot react with anything other than your eyes. Just again, man, this show does not miss when it comes to casting.
Yeah.
But once Will learns about this, of course, Hannibal has set this in motion and, this is the result he wants, right? I talk about, your at one time sort of an adopted daughter who I killed. And now you have another child killed. And now you have another child that would have bought and do something because I'm getting hangry. And so he sets Will in motion. He takes out Carlo. I don't think permanently, he just like knocks him out or something. And Mason is quite surprised that someone is confronting him physically. He takes a sock to the jaw pretty well, even tastes his own blood. But is like, oh, I'm going to feed you to my pigs. And then is quite upset that does not happen. And Will almost upends him into his own pig maze.
Again, maybe that's how he would want to go.
It's probably true. But of course, Will tells him, hey, there's a lot of things that I would normally, want to do here. But you know who put your ideas in your head and the ideas in Margot's head and the ideas in my head is one guy. His name is Hannibal Lecter. And you should feed him to your pigs. And
because because there's only one psychiatrist in all of Baltimore County. And apparently he is constantly taking new patients.
No, he's got both a very full and empty schedule that allows him to bring in only the hoyest of the polloi crazies that he can manipulate. Again, another episode ends and I just want to hit play on the next one.
Yep, we only have 2 left in the season.
Oh my God. They can't come soon enough. But before they do, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television at thespool.net. And against my own better judgment, I am on Twitter under Porcelain72.
Do it today. People, check it out. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We have the Facebook group. Come and talk about every episode with us. We'd love to hear from you. Our t-shirt store is up and running. You can find the link in the show notes here. And we have all sorts of t-shirts for sale. No Dish by Dish t-shirts yet, but that's about to change once we get that design back for murderstab.biz. You will not believe your eyes when we figure out what that is. Until then, rate and review us on iTunes and stay tuned next week for our birthday show. We have a birthday show, everybody. It's coming to you, and we're going to talk about something I never really thought we would talk about. Do you want to tell everyone?
We are going to be talking about The Exorcist.
The Exorcist. We're gonna put Pazuzu up in this bitch and see what happens. We're going to pee on floors. We're going to vomit soup. We're going to talk about casting alcoholics as priests. We're
going to say lots of naughty words.
We sure are. We are not going to masturbate with a crucifix.
No. This is the slightly edited version.
Yeah, I mean the crucifix can be part of the action, but not directly. You know, we like it to watch. That's how we roll. But it's going to be very Exorcist filled around here. And we're also going to, and I'm going to put this out here, we're going to try and talk about Candyman, the new Candyman. But I say that with some question marks because the world is a question mark. But our intention is to cover Candyman as well. So that's what you have to look forward to on Kill by Kill in the coming weeks. But until then, don't worry, folks. The body count will continue for myself and for Gina. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.